This afternoon I have the pleasure of speaking to you as President of the Leighton Buzzard branch of the Royal British Legion, as well as a long-serving member of Leighton Linslade Town Council. I would like to thank Swing Dance MK for organising a full programme of online events for us to enjoy and for using the opportunity to raise much needed funds for the Royal British Legion. Today we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of VE Day on 8th of May 1945. A year ago, when plans were being made for these celebrations, times were very different, and so were our plans. In some ways it is fitting that while remembering those times 75 years ago, whilst our lives are also disrupted. This morning at 11 AM we remembered those who gave their lives as members of the armed forces. We remember them always and regularly in November each year. Today I would ask you to also remember all those who served their country in their own communities and who served in the forces and came home, many deeply affected by their wartime experiences which lasted the rest of their lives. Families went through wartime facing difficulties most of us would have struggled to imagine. We are currently suffering from not seeing many of our family members for a few weeks, but with a degree of certainty that we will be together again before too long. During World War II, families were separated for months and years, and many had no idea if they would ever be together again. They did not have the benefit of technology that allows us to talk to each other via video calls. Most of them didn't even have telephones in their homes. My father's family lived in the East End of London when war broke out. My grandfather was a station master at Bromley by Bow, a reserved occupation, and he was about 50, so too old to join up. My father was just 12 years old. In 1940 the air raid started, and my father and grandmother were sent to Warwickshire for safety, whilst my grandfather remained in London. During air raids he had to shelter under the platform, as he was not allowed to leave the station if he was on duty. Dad was then evacuated to Somerset with his school for the duration of the war. Just after leaving London for Warwickshire in 1940, my father received this letter from his father. I would like to thank you, boy, for the grand way you helped Mum during the difficult days before you left, and for the way you stood up to the air raids. You were a real brick. I hope you will always face up to dangers in the same brave way, and that should the need arise, you will help Mum in the same way, although I am sure you will do so. I want you to grow up a real Christian and a gentleman, not from the money point of view, but character. There are many things you come up against as you go through life, but when something comes along which you would not like Mum to know of, then you can generally be sure it'd be wrong to have anything to do with it. If I should not be left to provide for you, do all you can to get the best schooling circumstances permit, because without education it is difficult to get far. This is gloomy and will, I hope and trust, never come to pass. I look forward to us all being together again, but if not, please forgive these times I have been hard or unreasonable. I have wanted to do the best I could for you, but have not always done right. I'm glad you have progressed so well at school and hope you will work hard to make the most of your time there. I must close now with fondest love and best wishes for your future. Your ever-loving Dad. Please excuse the pencil, but it's quicker and time is precious. Imagine having to write such a letter or receiving it as a 13-year-old. Thankfully, they were all reunited after the war ended, but many families were not. It is well documented by local historians the vital work that was done in our town to bring an early end to the war. Much was done by uniformed personnel who came into the town, but the residents of Leighton Buzzard and Linslade did much to allow this work to happen. These are the hidden heroes, rarely remembered publicly, but, I am sure, dear to the hearts of their families. The current townsfolk owe so much to these people, as does the wider community across the country. Much is said about the work at Bletchley Park, but what occurred in our town is largely forgotten. Whilst we celebrate this anniversary of VE Day, please do not forget that the war for many continued in the Far East. Servicemen from our community, and in many others, were in active service in that theatre until the summer of 1945, so the VE celebrations would have held very mixed emotions for their families. Their sacrifices must not be ignored and must be celebrated on the anniversary of VJ Day in August. Many of us cannot go to work, go shopping, can't go out for a drink or a meal. In wartime you could do these things. There might not have been things to buy in the shops. There may not have been beer in the pubs. There may not have been much on the menu if you ate out. And for many there was the uncertainty of knowing that their home would still be there when they got home. But they did not know if their work colleagues would still be there tomorrow. But they knew that they had to keep going because of their shared belief that the end of the war would come and life would get back to a new normality. In the meantime, enjoy the anniversary celebrations the best you can under current restrictions. Remember those who came home alongside those who didn't, and those who stayed at home. Keep safe and keep well.